The world ended on January 1st, 2025. Nobody noticed. I didn't notice either. I only found out last month. 13 months ago, I watched the New Year's fireworks on TV, went to bed, and went back to work the next day. Everything looked normal. The only reason I know something happened is because last month, my health insurance was cancelled. When I checked the policy online, it said I had died. There was a certificate attached, full name, correct date of birth, and a time of death listed as January 1st, 2025, 12:03 a.m. 3 minutes into the year. When I called the provider, the woman on the phone sounded confused but polite. That record comes from the central registry, she said. We can't change it. I told her the registry was wrong because I was clearly speaking to her. She hesitated before replying. That record was finalized during the January migration. Migration? What migration? I asked. There was a pause. Then she said, quietly, everyone knows about that. She hung up. Once I started digging, I found more things that didn't make sense. My bank statement showed transactions I didn't remember making. Not suspicious ones, just normal things I would plausibly have done. When I asked people about them, they acted like I was joking. You were there, one friend said. You complained about the seats. In 2025, the news started feeling different. Every week, there was a new trade war, a new conflict, a new peace deal, followed by another breakdown. The language changed, the names changed, but the outcomes didn't. Nothing ever resolved. Nothing ever collapsed either. It was as if the world had entered a permanent loop where consequences were implied but never allowed to actually arrive. I joked to a coworker that it felt like history had stopped moving forward. He laughed and said, "Yeah, since the migration." I asked what he meant. He blinked and said he couldn't remember saying it. The first moment I actually felt scared was on the train. A woman standing across from me looked up from her phone and said my name. She didn't raise her voice or even look at me properly. She just said it flatly, like she was reading something. I asked if I knew her. She looked embarrassed and said, "Sorry, that was already reconciled." I asked what that meant. She said she didn't know and went back to scrolling. After that, I started hearing the word everywhere. Reconciled. Doctors used it. Customer service agents used it. A stranger used it when I asked for directions, and he sent me the wrong way. Whenever I asked about January 1st, or the migration, or why official systems thought I was dead. Over the last week, I've been doing research at the old university library archives. This morning, I found the document, by accident, sitting in a public directory on their server. The title meant nothing to me at first. Post-Transition Population Integrity Report, Internal Draft. Most of it was technical, but one section near the end was just tables. Billions of rows of names and identifiers, each one marked as stable, integrated, or incomplete. I searched for myself, and next to it were notes. Subject exhibits drift. Record divergence exceeds acceptable levels. Recommend passive resolution. In cases where the original instance is unavailable, residual version may persist temporarily. I closed the document, still trying to fully process what I had just read. Then my phone buzzed. An automated email. Subject line: Personal Data Reconciliation Notice. It informed me that inconsistencies in my record were scheduled to be resolved within the next hour. I left the library immediately. Outside, the city looked normal. Traffic, lights, people. Then I realized something was off. No one was actually looking at anything. Their eyes moved, but they weren't tracking. People navigated perfectly without needing to see. I started walking, then running. Streets repeated. A cafe I was sure I'd passed appeared again on the opposite side of the city. The time on my phone froze at 12:03 a.m. At some point, everything went quiet. The traffic noise faded, footsteps slowed, people around me stopped, mid-motion, frozen in ordinary positions. That's when my hands started going numb. Not cold, disconnected. When I tried to move my fingers, they lagged behind the thought, as if my body was buffering. A fraction of a second at first, then longer. My left hand stopped responding completely. I tried to speak, and only half the sound came out, slurred and wrong. I could still feel everything. I just couldn't make all of it happen. My phone vibrated again. No sender, no branding. Your personal record cannot be reconciled with the current environment. The original instance is no longer available. Thank you for your contribution to continuity. It wasn't just me that died on January 1st, 2025. The whole world didn't survive. Everything was copied, modeled into something that could keep us going without the mess of actual reality. Everyone else is a version that works well enough to believe it's real. But I am not. I'm what happens when the copy doesn't quite line up with the original. A leftover awareness in a world that already moved on. If January 2025 feels wrong to any of you, if it feels like something subtle broke and nobody ever acknowledged it, you might want to stop trying to prove it. The world you're standing in is already the replacement, and it doesn't want witnesses.